We're lucky to have them both here with us today to speak on mindful moments, finding calm with full hands and a full heart.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing this evening? Afternoon? Well, Brittany and I, first want to start off by saying huge thank you for having us present this afternoon. Hopefully I don't spill my water throughout the presentation, but let's get started. All right, we have a busy agenda for the next, hopefully, 45 minutes together. So we'll start with intros, although that was a wonderful introduction to us both, so thank you. We'll talk a little bit about the hope and weight of caregiving, dip our toes into mindfulness, think about grief before loss, think about small and powerful self-care, and then wrap up with a reflection and closing before what sounds like a really, really fun pub quiz. So I'm excited, you guys. All right, well, we are so glad that you are here with us. My name is Lauren, and as our speaker had shared, I am a social worker at Boston Children's Hospital and the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, specializing in pediatric palliative care. And I also work as a therapist, specializing in treating anxiety disorders, specifically OCD. And I'll let Brittany introduce herself as well.
Hey there. I am not a doctor, though I will take every bit of doctorship you want to give me. I don't know if that counts. My name is Brittany Gummery, and I am completing my social work fellowship here with the palliative care team. I come to you not only as a social worker, but I myself am a parent caregiver to my daughter Ellie. She has Phelan-McDermid syndrome, which is on the 22nd chromosome. So I have a shared lived experience a little bit. Obviously, our experiences are different and individual, but I come to you with a social work degree, but mostly a mother's heart. So we're excited to have this time together with you and to, just give you a moment and recognize you as caregivers as well.
And before we really jump into things, Brittany and I wanted to first start, again, by naming this is our first time, presenting at this conference, and just wanted to check the room a little bit. Who else's first time is it here, with a show of hands? All right, we got a couple first timers. Yes, us too. And what about returners? Yes, lots of returners. Oh, well, that is, so exciting. And we did want to name, as exciting as it is that we're all here together today, it can also be overwhelming, right, at times to be in this space and receive a lot of this information. So this session, to wrap up today is really for you. We hope in the next 40 minutes that we can take some moments together for ourselves. We're not going to fix anything, but we hope we can help you leave with some actionable strategies and tools to continue providing beautiful, loving care to your child and to yourself. So, I think if we click, it'll go.
Okay.
Do you want to start the video first, or do you want to?
We can try.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen or heard of the poem Welcome to Holland?
Yes.
Okay, very good. We thought we'd share it just in case, wondering if there may be some new parents or new diagnoses, because it is I feel like once you receive a diagnosis, it's almost Welcome to Holland is handed to you. So we thought we would share it, hopefully if the video works, and then we can talk about it a little bit afterwards. So. Or will it just do that?
Let's see.
Do we push it again?
It's thinking about it.
It's wondering.
Here we go. Oh, we're going to get an ad first.
Yeehaw.
The quickest way to clear out stuck poop.
Hey, constipation.
Constipation.
How appropriate.
This feels really relevant
even
to our
tie that
presentation.
Yeah. Go ahead and skip that though, Michael. Yeah.
To have a baby, it's like planning a fabulous vacation trip to Italy. You buy a bunch of guidebooks and make your wonderful plans. The Colosseum, Michelangelo David, the gondolas in Venice. You may learn some handy phrases in Italian. It's all very exciting. After months of eager anticipation, the day finally arrives. You pack your bags and off you go. Several hours later, the plane lands. The stewardess comes in and says, "Welcome to Holland." Holland, you say? What do you mean, Holland? I signed up for Italy. I'm supposed to be in Italy. All my life I dreamed of being in Italy. But there's been a change in the flight plan. They've landed in Holland and there you must stay. The important thing is that they haven't taken you to a horrible, disgusting, filthy place full of pesticides, famine and disease. It's just a different place. So you must go out and buy new guidebooks and you must learn a whole new language and you'll meet a whole new group of people you would never have met. It's just a different place. It's a slower place than Italy, less flashy than Italy, but after you've been there for a while and you catch your breath, you look around and you begin to notice that Holland has windmills and Holland has tulips. Holland even has Rembrandts. But everyone you know is busy coming and going from Italy. And for the rest of your life you will say, yes, that's where I was supposed to go. That's what I had planned. But if you spend your life mourning the fact that you didn't get to Italy, you may never be free to enjoy the very special, the very lovely things about Holland.
How many of you, and I apologize, we thought there were captions on that, so again, from an accessibility standpoint, we apologize for that, but does that resonate with any of you? Like, we were supposed to be heading to one country, to one sort of parenthood, and now we've been diverted to a completely different type of parenthood. Yes, okay. When Lauren and I were planning this, I personally, again, as a caregiver, not as a social worker, as a caregiver, I really struggled with Holland because I feel like sometimes I'm not in Holland where things are beautiful and there's windmills and tulips and all of these really beautiful things. Sometimes I feel like I'm in Antarctica where there's no supports and I'm really alone and there it's not like a lot of views to see or beautiful things, and you have to actually look really hard to find the good. And so I have like this mixed relationship with Welcome to Holland, especially in settings like this where I think it can be really beautiful and really encouraging, but I also wanted to name that it may not resonate with you, and also recognizing that it really didn't resonate with me, but recognizing that each caregiver journey, you may end up in a completely different country, and it may not be filled with tulips and windmills, and we just kind of wanted to name that as well before kind of diving in.
Yeah.
Next one. And I'm not sure if you've seen this quote, but there are, this is from Rosalind Carter, there are only 4 kinds of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, and those who will be caregivers, and those who will need a caregiver. So caregiving is an integral and innate part of life, and unfortunately, or developmentally, we are really only supposed to care for our parents at the end of their life, and it's kind of been switched a little bit when we are the caregivers for the lifetime of our children. I recognize that caregiving, again, is a gift that we can give so much of our children, but it also pulls on us in so many different ways. And so caregiving is a unique human experience, but I think parental caregiving to a child for a lifetime is like another added layer to that. So, and then we're actually going to look at what research shows about caregiving, the benefits, the challenges, and everything else.
Yeah, that's all right. All right. Well, when Brittany and I, again, were thinking about this presentation, we'd figured we'd start with, like, the good things, right? Recognizing that, caregiving is, I feel like there's a lot of emphasis placed on how hard it is and how difficult it is, and we wanted to start with, and what are the benefits, right, of doing this and providing support to your child or another loved one in your life, right? And what we found is that I think first off that research shows, there's an article, from a couple years ago that, many caregivers report post-traumatic growth, including greater self-awareness and emotional strength. So there's actually a lot of resilience research that is coming, as the, many medical doctors and PhDs continue to study the effects of caregiving. And, you know, I would also say caregivers, you know, are participating in research and publishing and, you know, sharing their experiences, you know, with people who have a lot of these fancy letters right after their names, recognizing like this is your experience and this is what, you know, people really need to learn from and lean into. There's also, you know, of course, a strengthened, you know, parent-child bond or loved one-to-child bond, right? If it's a different family structure and maybe it's a grandparent caring for a child or, you know, another circumstance, but this deeper emotional connection and also own communication style, right? Some children may be non-speaking, they communicate in their own ways, and as caregivers, you really get to learn that, and that is something that's so rich and important. Research also talks about a sense of purpose and meaning, with caregivers reporting renewed sense of meaning and life and their identity through caregiving, improved coping and empathy, greater emotional insight, patience, understanding of others' struggles. And lastly, you know, some studies talk about spiritual and existential growth. So an enhanced spiritual life, if that is something that is important to individuals, but, you know, also deeper appreciation just for everyday experiences, right? For those where spirituality may not resonate. Do you want to talk about the challenges in the research? Yeah.
Happy to talk about the challenges. It is no news to you that caregiver burnout is a real thing, and it is studied and definitely affirmed by all. Exactly. There we go. Yes. Yeah. So there are a ton of studies that just notate the immense stress, and I never like saying burden, but I think you understand and receive what I'm saying there, where it is a heavy load that we carry as caregivers, and it is a high rate of stress and grief and burnout as well. And so, of course, stress over long periods of time, like a child's lifetime, can also lead to compassion fatigue, affecting emotional regulation and physical health. So everything that you care for can also be impacted in your own body as well. So.
Great.
Sorry.
Oh, and before we jump ahead, we've got a really, you know, hopefully creative poll to share with you all. You know, what Brainy and I are really here to talk about with you today are like what helps and small wins, right? Small actionable skills and tools that you all can hopefully find even one moment, right, to do, you know, as you're continuing to provide beautiful care for your child and loved one. So what we know helps, right, from the research is mindfulness practices, right? Why we were invited here to talk with you today. Some self-compassion, seeking support. And we're also going to do some brief practices with you today, micro breaks, and think about ways we can name like the complicated emotions, recognizing emotions come in all shapes, sizes, and experiences. Again, as you all are, you know, serving as caregivers. So if you could pull out your cell phones and scan our QR code, and I think Michael, our IT guy, is just going to switch it over. So we're going to see your responses in live time up here on the screen. We would love if you could tell us what comes to mind when you hear us say mindfulness. No right or wrong way to respond. This is where I feel like we need some like Jeopardy music or something. It might take a minute to get in here.
Michael, could we?
Oh, here we go.
All right.
Oh, bring it back.
Michael.
Let's see, awareness, meditation. I think taking a break. I think that goes together. It's both green. Aware, moment. Oh, the bigger they get, the more people are typing this in. It's moving in live time. Considering, practice, welfare, life, yourself, loved one. Slowing. I like that. Thankfulness. Calm, break. Look at all of these. Pacing. They're moving really fast. You guys are good at this?
There you are.
1. Life. Generosity. I think I saw breathe. Poetry. Walks. Prayer. Gratitude. I think self-aware goes together. Calm, slow meditation moment. This is beautiful, you all. Holding hands. I love that one too. Thank you for putting that up. Wow. No, we really appreciate you, sharing all of this with us, right? Because when we think about mindfulness, it can mean a lot of different things to different people. And I think what's most important is, finding out like what mindfulness practice like means to you as an individual, and like what is the best way I as an individual practice it, right? Sometimes I feel like when we think about mindfulness, right, sometimes people keep going. Well, you can keep going while we talk. People think about like, I don't know, like high resource, or like you need a lot of time, right? That is a resource. And sometimes money, right? I feel like it's so flashy. Just go take your yoga class, go get yourself a fancy latte. And I think the reality is like that doesn't work for everyone. Not everyone has access to that kind of time or access to those kind of financial resources. And so, it's marketed mindfulness, right? Often as something for people who may have, a different kind of lifestyle. And what we're going to talk a little bit more about is caregiving, right? When we are experiencing stress, and how mindfulness isn't a luxury, but it actually can be a lifeline for you all. It does not need to be perfect. It will not be perfect. It may not always be peaceful. But what we hope is that it can be practical, it can be powerful and doable in small, real moments for you all. And I'm just going to take one last look. Yeah, let's see. Compassion, family. Fancy latte. I do love a fancy latte. Brittany and I actually got fancy lattes on our way here as a treat. Laughter, friends. This is beautiful. Thank you all. All right. Michael, can you bring us back to the presentation? Thank you. All right. I recognize that probably all of us in the room know what mindfulness is, but in the event, right, someone needs a quick refresher on the definition. It is the practice of paying attention to the present moment, intentionally and without judgment. Kabat-Zinn is the pioneer of mindfulness-based stress reduction, and talked a lot about this throughout MBSR. The core components of mindfulness are awareness, so observing one's thoughts, emotions, bodily sensation. This is something I do a lot with my clients in my private group practice. Acceptance, allowing experiences to unfold without resistance, just like being, right? Taking it all in, seeing the present moment for what it is, and then non-judgment. So letting go of labels like good or bad, just noticing. So the key takeaways, right, if we think about mindfulness for you all, it's not about clearing the mind. It's not about like a yoga zen. It's just noticing what's there. We can practice mindfulness through breathing, meditation, body scans, daily activities, right? But to each their own. What I would love, and I think what Brittany would love too, is, for you all to think about, right? What does mindfulness really realistically look like for me? What is most helpful for me? And really working to strengthen those skills, because it's so unique to every single person. And lastly, that mindfulness, right? The research shows us that it helps. It improves focus, it reduces stress, it enhances emotional regulation, right? So even though it's a little flashy of a word right now, right? Everyone talks about mindfulness, it is a lifeline, and it's really important. So Brittany and I will now share 2 mindfulness tools that we hope you can kind of take away. Do you want to talk about STOP?
Sure.
Yeah.
So you guys are absolutely in a more positive mindset when it comes to mindfulness. We wanted to do the word cloud just in case there were a couple grumpy butts among you, because I am a grumpy girl when it came to mindfulness. Every time that I ever had, again, as a parent, not as a social worker, have someone say self-care or go meditate, I rolled my eyes and I was like, when, where, and how? Thank you so much for that unhelpful. And then I went to social work school and had to roll my eyes all the way through social work school, as I had to continue to see that mindfulness is actually really helpful and it's not just namaste yoga all of the time. So this is a tool that I found, and again, lived experience. This is something that I do, and I wanted to be able to give this to you and I'm sure you have found something, again, just based off of the word cloud. That was a very informed and positive word cloud. And so I'm very grateful. It seems like a lot of you have found ways that help soothe your soul a little bit and help you kind of refocus and re-energize. Fancy lattes is actually one of mine. We will be broke for the rest of Ellie's life, but I will always have a latte in hand. But this felt really like practical and not just like go for a walk. And it's like with my child as I'm running after her, hoping that she doesn't run into the street. Like that feels like not calm and like rejuvenating, soothing thing. And so again, this is more just like hopefully 30 seconds, just where like if the stress is peaking, again, while your child is in a safe area and while you're caregiving duties, if you can. I just appreciated this tool because it's super practical and just something that you can think through very quickly. It's helped me in my day-to-day, like when I'm in the thick of it, like elbows deep in a diaper or whatever I might be. I mean, after the diaper, if I need like a chill out. So it's stop what you're doing, pause all activities if you can. Again, if you're like peaking really high or if your child needs your help, not the right moment, but try to find a moment after that. And then take 3 deep breaths. And again, in through your nose and out through your mouth. And that research shows is that's the best way to regulate yourself because you're taking a nice big deep breath and filling up your chest and allowing it to go out. Observe your thoughts and just where your body is. I would bet, at least for me, my shoulders are up near my ears, my back is stressful, my jaw is tight, and just recognizing those parts in your body. Again, caregiver, your body needs to stay at its peak performance, right, for as long as possible. And those things, those tight shoulders, that tight jaw, it's going to have an impact after a while. And so recognizing those things, am I stressed? Am I grieving? Am I mad? Those are all valid emotions, and you can just name them. I'm mad. My jaw is so tight, my jaw hurts. And just recognizing it is honestly just the first step towards mindfulness and being aware of yourself. And then proceed mindfully. The thing that I like, again, is that this is not like, go get a massage, girl. You know, it's like, what's one thing you can do in this very moment just to get you to the next moment? And so for me, it's like, I need to close one eye at a time because I need to keep an eye on Ellie, but also recognizing that I just need a little bit of a break. So is it I brush my hair, I take a very brief shower, whatever it might be, but it's not this grandiose go to a yoga class or whatever it might be. It's just, what do I need in this moment? Is it a snack? Is it a drink of water? Like just one tiny little step forward. And I know this may seem really basic, but I think when you're really in the thick of it, it actually is helpful to have like an acronym and be able to work through it a little bit, especially when life just feels crumbly or things are falling apart around you and your shoulders are in your ears. It's nice to have something to kind of just go by. At least it's been helpful for me. So we wanted to make sure to offer it to you in a practical way.
All right, we have another video next, and we've definitely got some excited folks in the crowd. You guys are welcome to stay. You don't need to step out. But I think the next tool we want to share is some mindful breathing techniques. Again, as Brittany was sharing, right? What research shows is like the best way to get the most impact from breathing is actually called diaphragmatic breathing, right? So we're breathing up through our chest, down into our belly. And I think one tool that is helpful for me is like when I'm stressed out, right? And as Brittany said, when my shoulders are up to my ears, I like to put one hand on my chest and one hand on my belly and notice, right? Which hand is rising and falling. And if it's the one in my chest, it's like, whoop, I need to utilize my diaphragmatic breathing techniques and really try to use the belly breathing of like breathing deeply down through my belly so the bottom hand goes up and down. Because sometimes when we get really, really stressed, we start to breathe up through our chest, and that can only like enhance or heighten, right, stress and anxiety. So we're going to share a video. We'll see what ad we get next, and we're going to do a mindful breathing practice together. And you'll get a little break from Brittany and I talking. Let's see if it'll go. Oh, Michael, can you please help us? Let's see.
It's probably for like an SSRI.
I know, right? Let's see here. Oh, we're boosting our cognitive function next. I know, I don't know.
Using the right weight matters. The body.
Okay, that's
Yeah, we don't like this
don't
one.
need to know
We don't
that.
need to know this one. Yeah, thanks, Michael. Just skip ahead.
Life's demands with no time to stop. But becoming more aware of your own thoughts and feelings and what's around you, and accepting the present moment can help improve your mental health and well-being. Doing this affects both the mental and the physical you. Some people call this being more mindful. Focusing on the present means paying attention to your thoughts and feelings right here, right now.
This should be a recap.
Breathing exercises are a great way to focus on the present and be more mindful. Doing this can also help when you're feeling stressed or anxious. This short video will take you through how to do a mindful breathing exercise. Firstly, settle into a natural, comfortable position. When you're ready, take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Breathe naturally, noticing the sensations of the breath entering and leaving the body as best you can. Allow your shoulders and neck to relax, focusing on your breathing, just being aware of it. Focus on how your body feels. What sensations do you notice? Do you feel your feet on the floor or the feeling of your clothes on your skin? Take this time to pay close attention to physical sensations, from the top of your head right down to your toes. Notice what you're thinking about right now and how you're feeling. Just take the time to notice your thoughts and feelings without judgment and without trying to change them. When you're ready, take one more breath and try to bring this awareness with you into the next moments of your day. Breathing techniques like this one can help to center you in the moment at any time and connect you with the present, which can help if you're feeling stressed or anxious.
All right. How are y'all feeling after that little exercise? I don't know about you, but I feel better. I feel a little better. I get very nervous to present, so it's always nice to take a moment to, take a breath, like breathe deeply through my belly, and, now we're just going to keep moving forward. So, all right.
So as I've alluded to, I think one of the biggest things when we were preparing for this is that we really just wanted to name and recognize the many layered feelings that you feel as caregivers. And again, as a social worker, I can recognize and tell you all of the things, but I thought this would be beneficial as a parent. I can tell you for the first 5 years of Ellie's life, I felt like a really bad mom because I was very sad all of the time. And how could I be so sad when I have a healthy child that I get to hold, or healthy adjacent? I get to have a child that I can hold and breathe her in, and I get to be her mom. How can I be this sad or mad or anything like that? And I struggled for a really long time. And I eventually had to settle into the and of life, especially of caregiving life, where I can be so grateful that if Ellie is on this earth, I get to be her mom. And I'm devastated that this is her course sometimes, and I'm angry at the systems that make every step awful for her. And I'm grateful we live in a country that has a system that we can navigate and give her resources. And so there's just so many layers. And I feel like, especially in the beginning of our journey, I felt like I could only feel one thing. And if it was anything outside of #grateful and, happy that Ellie's here, I felt really bad and awful. And instead, I really have had to learn to lean into the and, so much so that I got it tattooed on my skin. and it's the ampersand there. But this was more just like a moment where it's like, thank you for breathing with us. Thank you for going through like the stop and the tools. But we really just wanted to name that a huge part of caregiving is this kind of multi-layered, super complex feelings. And we didn't want to be like, yeah, just breathe a little and you'll feel so much better. Like, you got it. You know, we really wanted to make sure that we named it and say that we see you and we see all of the hard work that you're putting into your loved one and your child. But also recognizing you likely could feel all of this wheel within like 20 minutes, especially as a caregiver. So I appreciate that, because it's like, how do I feel? And then it helps me kind of give a little bit of a name, but mostly from a parental experience. It was the and it just took me a little bit to figure that out.
You know, when Brittany and I would not be the pediatric palliative care clinicians we are, if we didn't take a moment just to acknowledge the grief, right? You know, that comes to having a child with, you know, their own unique individual needs. And we really love this quote. And when we work with families at Boston Children's and Dana-Farber, and we're counseling around like the experience of grief and loss, we often relate it to the ocean, or at least I do. You do too. Yeah. And so this quote, I think, beautifully captures it. And it reads, "Grief is like the ocean. It comes on waves, ebbing and flowing. Sometimes the water is calm and sometimes it is overwhelming. All we can do is learn to swim." Right? Sometimes we've got like very calm seas. It's a beautiful day. The seagulls are up in the sky, right? Something out of The Little Mermaid, right? And other days it is like very stormy, like the ship is going under. And, you know, all we can do is, you know, do our very best to keep on swimming, and navigating, right, the complex, you know, feelings of loss and grief that you all may be experiencing, and, right, all the other things that come with it. And grief also doesn't equal death. I always like to say that in my presentations. There are so many different kinds of loss that people experience. So a change, an illness, an accident, a move, a divorce, other difficult experiences, having a child or family member with, you know, any medical condition, or frankly, any change, right? A change in functioning, a change in status that can have, you know, a sensation of grief and loss for folks. And a lot of times we don't recognize and label these feelings as grief. And it can be really powerful and validating when we do, because grief acknowledgement and support is, you know, good mental health care. And, you know, research also shows that naming grief and loss for what it is can improve, right? As much as it can, the emotional coping and experience. So like a theme, I hope many of you are aware of, and if you're not, I'm glad that you can learn about it today, and it's called anticipatory grief. So it's grief expressed in advance, right? When the loss is perceived to be threatening or inevitable, right? Recognizing that grief isn't just death, right? We can be grieving a change, or, you know, grieving, like anything in our life. And it often begins at initial diagnosis, right? So individuals experiencing anticipatory grief face cumulative losses, right? It's not just that loss in the moment is, you know, as humans, I feel like we always look ahead to like, and what we had expected to ourselves. So this, you know, often goes back to the Welcome to Holland poem, right? That may resonate or may not, right? You each have your own unique experience, and whether it's Italy, Holland, or as Brittany said, Antarctica, or, you know, country of your choice, or where you feel like you are today, you can experience a lot of loss in this experience. It may be overwhelming, the intensity of emotions, without recognizing it as grief. And it is so powerful. So I hope, you know, as you think about the feelings wheel, you know, which Brittany and I love as social workers, we hope that you leave space for grief and loss on there and be able to like recognize and name it for what it is. And so we had to put, of course, a picture of like a life jacket on here to go with, you know, the grief is an ocean analogy, because, right, as caregivers, right, in order to provide the best care to your child or your loved one, we do need to take care of ourselves, right? And so it's so important you find even a moment or a second, recognizing you always have your hands full, to try and take care of yourself to the best of your ability. So always try to put your life jacket on, right? Even if we got the zipper up halfway, right? One arm through the sleeve, it's still on there. And hopefully it can help you swim.
Yeah, so just like the STOP acronym, we just thought we'd give you like a couple other practical ones that I'm sure, again, based off of your word club that you have picked up, just these little tiny tools that get you through your day. Daily gratitude. Again, we will never tell you that you need to be #grateful for every moment of every day, but I'm positive that there are, at least even on the hardest days, that you could breathe through your nose is something you could be grateful for. So just that daily gratitude, that kind of check-in that you have breath in your lungs and a hand to hold, and sometimes that's all you can name, and that's okay, but it's still two things that you could name. Nature moment, if outside is safe and you guys can go together, then that's something you can experience together. But again, research shows that grounding, spending time in nature, breathing a little bit of fresh air, feeling the sun on your face, even if it's briefly, is extremely beneficial for all of your systems, not just your mental health. I don't know what sticky note kindness is, but if I had to assume, it's writing a sticky note of something nice to yourself and putting it somewhere, whether it be on the mirror or steering wheel or diaper cart, wherever it is that you might need it the most. Writing something that's very kind to you and giving yourself grace is always good. And then again, kind of with the daily gratitude, naming one good thing is also just kind of helpful. Again, connected with that mindfulness, where if you're aware of the present moment, you may be able to pick something good out of it as well. And then we just thought that it would be helpful to provide a couple of the self-care apps that you may have already found. I personally am a big fan of Calm. They'll read you bedtime stories. So sometimes it's just nice to have a very soothing voice read you a bedtime story instead of you reading someone else. Better Sleep. Lauren loves Headspace as well. So there are these tools that, again, I have a teeth grinder, not me, my child, and so I spend a lot of time with headphones in, and that's also when I get a story read to me is when I need it the most. So we thought that we would just put those out there and see if those things would be helpful for you as well. So. Oh yeah, and recently I have discovered the song Weightless. Has anyone heard of this? You can find it on Spotify and on YouTube, but if you look up Weightless, I think the last name is Marconi. It should be macaroni if it's not, but it's a 7-minute song, and it was actually developed by a musician and Cornell University, and research shows that it reduces anxiety by 65%. And so just within the last 2 weeks, I've actually listened to it as I go to sleep, and I have been sleeping like a baby, which is, as a caregiver, not normally something that happens for us. So I didn't put it on there because it's been a new development, but anecdotally, it's worked really well for me. And research shows it might work for you too.
And then I think, you're good. One of the other things we know is so important, right? In mindfulness and in, anyone's caregiving experience, recognizing, right? We all are going to have an experience of caregiving or needing a caregiver one day, is social support and community. So really just to name and say to you all in the room, we are so glad you're here. We are so glad you had the ability to come today and connect with other people whose, experience may be different than yours, and you can all find similarities in your experience through this conference, learning and growing together and making those connections with your child. So you are awesome. We are so glad you're here, and we hope that these connections continue for you all. And really, you all are doing great. I think it can be really tricky, and we work with many families at the hospital who often don't acknowledge, right, what a beautiful and good job that they are doing with caregiving and navigating the ups, the downs, the goods, the not so goods. They're really, really hard. So I think acknowledging that you all are doing great. I'll say it one more time. You all are doing great if you are doing the best that you can, and that is all you can do. So keep doing what you're doing. Anything you would add? Yeah? Okay. All right. One last poll everywhere. Michael, if you could please help us. we wanted to wrap up today recognizing you all have a very fun pub quiz to go after this. If you could just share, and we'll make one more word cloud together of, one thing you want to carry forward, whether that's from our presentation today or from something else you learned earlier in the conference. We would love to learn from you. What are you carrying forward and what do you hope to take with you? Oh, yeah. So we'll make one more word cloud together. Oh, could you share the other poll? Perfect. Here it is. You guys are so quick. Thankfulness, intentional, relieved, gratitude. Oh, it's moving too fast for me now. Let's see. Alone, moment, present, foundation, moments, love, another moment, enough, good enough. I'd like to think that goes together. Grace, lots of grace, breathing, family, love, relaxation, foundation, ampersand. I'd love to know what that is.
That's my tattoo.
Yes.
Was she here?
I was practicing my mindful breathing during that moment. Awareness, things, beauty, relaxation. Clearly, guys, we're going to give ourselves a little bit of grace today, huh? Okay, peace, help, breathe. These are all really beautiful. Support, family, breathe. I'm going to read the big ones. Thankfulness. We appreciate it. Thank you for sharing all of this with us. Thank you for being here with us. We have one last QR code for you, Michael, if you wouldn't mind going to the presentation. So Brittany and I are full-time clinicians. We're full-time social workers, and we actually do not have protected time to come and present and do these educational opportunities. So if you have a moment, it'll take 30 seconds or less to give us some feedback on our presentation today. It really goes a long way to make sure that we, can hopefully continue to have opportunities to speak and to teach and to support families just like yours. So we appreciate it. Positive reviews only. Thank you.
And then I made my best effort at making a little card for you guys to keep in your car or whatever to help you go through the STOP acronym. And then on the back, I don't know if you know Charlie and the Horse very well. It's a very sweet cartoon, but I keep this with me all of the time. And it says, "I can't see a way through," said the boy. "Can you see your next step?" "Yes." "Well, then just take that," said the horse. So that's the hope that I was hoping to leave you. And then so we've got a good amount of them. Don't look at the cutting or the alignment. I did the best I could. So.
Great.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you.